And Pat, just first overall, your reaction. Did you have any sense that it could be the Steelers?
Yeah, I'm really excited. Obviously since pro day, Coach Alfredo and Coach Tomlin and Coach Canada were there, and I hit off with them since day one, and we had some great meetings throughout the process, and I felt like if I was there at 55, that they might draft me, and when I saw that Pittsburgh area code, I thought it was one of my friends from Penn State pranking me, but I answered the phone and it was Coach Tomlin, and it was just one of the best. It was the best feelings I ever had, playing for an organization that's such storied as the Steelers, and especially having Franco Harris announce my pick, and he's a legend from Penn State and the Steelers, and that was just a huge honor, and I'm just very excited to be part of this organization.
Brian Backo, Post-Gazette.
Hey Pat, congratulations. I guess just first question is, how is the shoulder? I know that limited you a little bit in the pre-draft process, and what kind of questions did the Steelers have about that for you, given that they were considering investing this sort of pick in you?
Yeah, my shoulder's fully healthy. I got cleared, 3 weeks ago to do everything, full contact, everything like that. I think I got the surgery at a right time, which allowed me to, be fully healthy before, my NFL career and rookie minicamp and stuff like that. So I could go through that whole process and get my own routine. So, I'm fully healthy. I'm ready to go. And, I'm excited to, get into that offense and, make some plays.
Joe Rutter, Trib.
What do you think is the biggest attribute you can bring to the Steelers? They do like their tight ends to block a lot. Is that up your wheelhouse?
Yeah, I think that fits me well. I'm a versatile tight end. I go in there and I'll stick my face and block the DNs, and I'll go out there and make some plays in the pass game. So whatever I'm asked to do, I'm going to do it. I've always been a team first guy. And I think that kind of showed at Penn State. With the guys trusting me and everything like that. So I'm always going to put the team first. If Coach Canada is telling me to go in there and block the whole game, I'm going to do it the best of my ability. And that's kind of the guy I am, and that's kind of the guy that I'm continuing to be.
Chris Carter, DK.
Pat, congratulations. You're a sure-handed tight end who's made a lot of catches, and then you've worked with your quarterbacks to bail them out. You also, Ben Roethlisberger, he likes to throw the ball to his tight end like Eric Ebron, or even further back in Heath Miller. How much have you thought about being able to work with a quarterback as experienced as Ben Roethlisberger and who likes throwing to his tight ends like that?
Yeah, that was just kind of weird you saying like Ben Roethlisberger, because me growing up, I've obviously seen him play a bunch and watched him, ball out, and it's kind of weird that he's going to be my quarterback now, and I can't wait to go out there and catch footballs from him and make plays from him, and it's going to be an unreal experience, just kind of be with that offense with him.
Brooke Pryor, ESPN.
Yeah. Hey, Pat, kind of along the lines of one of the earlier questions, how did the Steelers say that they envision you fitting in their offense, and what were some of those discussions like during the draft process when you were talking with them?
Yeah, I see myself as just going out there and doing whatever, is asked of me. I think that's what, they liked about me most is, meeting throughout the process is, I was willing to do anything. And then I made that quite evident, on my film at Penn State. So like I said, if they tell me to go in there and block, the whole game, then I'm going to do that. So, I think they're going to move me around the offense a lot and, make me mismatch and stuff like that. But, when they go in there and ask me to block, I'm going to do it. So, I'm excited to be part of their offense.
Chris Adamski, Trib.
Pat, both Kevin Colbert, talking more in general, not about you, was saying they liked players who decided to play in 2020. Coach Franklin was pretty open about, talking about how you played for your team. What went into that decision? And did you have any? Obviously, you got hurt. I mean, that could have really hurt you. Did you regret it for a little bit? I mean, it sounds like you're fine and everything, but was there a moment of like, oh, what did I do here? I might have hurt myself. And what made you want to play this past season?
Yeah, I first of all, I wanted to play this season just because, I love Penn State. I love that whole community. I love everything that they've done for me. And, I've said this multiple times that, I owe that university more than it owes me. So, every chance that I could go out there and put a Penn State jersey on, I was going to do it. So, I never kind of thought about opting out. When the season got canceled, obviously I was like, okay, what's my next step? But, I was waiting and itching for them to put it back on. So when it did, I was excited about that, but I have no regrets about, going out there and, playing the season and getting hurt. I think obviously getting hurt, you never want to get hurt, but that's the first major injury I've ever had. Hopefully the last one. I learned a lot from that, adversity wise, stuff like that. So, I'll take those lessons and I cherish them, and, I have no regrets.
All right, we should be able to do these last four. So if your hand's not raised now, please don't raise it. Noah Strackbean, Sports Illustrated.
Hey, Pat, congratulations. Everybody talks about blocking. You're going to go and work with Eric Ebron. What are your thoughts on him, and what do you think you could learn from him this season?
Yeah, I'm excited to learn from Eric Ebron. Obviously he's a vet, and he's, established himself in the NFL for a long time. And, I'm excited to go out there and just kind of pick his brain and learn from him. I think that's made me successful at Penn State was, picking those older guys' brain. So I can't wait to see what his routine is and see his process and, learn from him and have him be a mentor for me. I can't wait to, get in that room and like I said, learn from him. So, I can't wait to, be a part of this organization.
Brian Batko, Post-Gazette.
Yeah, Pat, I know you said off the top that you had a feeling the Steelers might go to you in the second round if possible. Were you surprised that you lasted until 55, especially, no tight ends picked between 4 and 55 this year?
Yeah, no, I'm just excited to, to be a Pittsburgh Steeler. I don't really care what happened before this for the draft in this process, but like I said, I'm excited where I'm at. I'm excited that the Steelers gave me an opportunity. And I can promise you and the rest of Steeler Nation that, I'm going to make the most of it. You're going to get a guy who comes in every single day and works his tail off. So, I'm excited for the opportunity, and I'm excited that, this is meant to be.
Max Cerullo, Daily News.
Hey, Pat, congratulations. Just wanted to ask, we saw on TV you had a great moment with your mom and with your family right after you got the call. Can you just share with us what that moment was like for you?
Yeah, it meant a lot for me just because, they were there from the start and, they saw something in me that maybe when I didn't see it, and they kept pushing me to become great. I think I owe the world to my mom and my dad and my brother, my sister, and everyone else that was here tonight. They saw it, like they've been there from the start. So, I'm excited, to, continue this, my next chapter in Pittsburgh and, have them watch there and just watch every single step of the way.
All right, and last question, Alan Saunders, Pittsburgh Sports Now.
Hey, Pat, you had a pretty strong year as a freshman at Penn State. How do you feel like as your time there went on, you got you added to your game and you developed? And how would you say you're a different person now after your 3 seasons there?
Yeah, so I think I put it together. My last year. Obviously I only played 4 games, but my freshman year I kind of went in there and my role was to block in the beginning of the season, and obviously they allowed me to make plays in the red zone, in zone coverage and stuff. And then in my sophomore year, I went out there and was a man answer. And I think this past year, my junior year, I put it all together. I've shown that I can block with the best of the DNs and pass pro and go out there and make plays versus man and zone. So I just kind of I try to piece it together my whole career. So I'm going to try and do that, take my, complete game to the Steelers and, continue to add on to that and learn from the vets.